Hello, Angry Watchman back again. This is a little Christmas special. I hope everybody's having a lovely Christmas day. Now, this is, as you can clearly tell, I'm going to be answering these questions from D.Marble, whose my opinion of has gone down greatly over the last many months. Just basically shows what kind of a person he really is. Right? So yeah, these questions I think are going to be pretty much the same old usual tat. You know, CGI, same globe things, NASA said this, NASA said that, all this kind of rubbish. But this time, though, this is going to be like a blind sort of thing. I haven't watched this video yet, so I'm going to pretty much react to this and answer the questions on the fly. So it'll show my integrity in some ways. Right. And also, I know for a fact we're going to hear the globe earth enthusiasts. Ooh, fucking hate that when he says that.
Alright, so one question I like to ask heliocentric enthusiasts.
Breathe.
I do these in...
So look, he knows he's talking bullshit, because look at him fucking snigger and smile. He knows he's taking the piss.
Two parts. I'll ask a leading question because, it's something that supports what they already claim to believe in. So
It's not claim to believe in, it's fact. Scientific fact over thousands of years worth of science and astronomy and observations that you know nothing about.
For example, say, do you believe that we went to the moon? And their answer would be yes. Now, although NASA has admitted on multiple occasions that they can't go beyond low Earth orbit,
right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go.
And they'll pretty much overlook that part.
No, it's not looking over that part. What you need to understand is technology change. Do you say something else? Have a look.
And still believe that we don't have the technology today, but we were able to do that back in the 70s and late 60s. Anyway.
Yeah, but you're not thinking past the face of that question, are you? You're taking what that astronaut just said, at complete face value and not looking into it at all. Yeah, it's change of technology. Technology might have advanced very far nowadays, extremely far, but it's still delicate. It's far more delicate than technology was probably back in the 70s. Technology is more powerful than it is now. I mean, technology now is far more powerful than it was back then. It can do a lot more. But it's actually quite brittle when you really think about it. I mean, hell, let's give a prime example. Remember the indestructible Nokia phone? So the Nokia 3210? Well, I can't remember the name of the thing. I think this phone was probably before my time. But I think it came out in the 90s. Well, I'm 27, so it probably wasn't when I was young. Do you remember how indestructible that fucking phone was? The fact that you could literally, stamp on it, roll over it with a car, burn it, melt it, and do what you want with it, and the damn thing still turns on. You know how indestructible they were? They were very renowned for their indestructibility. Now today, with iPhones, geez, you can drop those things and they smash, and they break. You can leave them out in a damp mist, and they'll break. Hell, do you remember that, what was it, the iPhone 7? I can't remember which one it was. Do you remember the one that bent? If you put it in your pocket and your pocket was too tight, it used to bend because of the force from your leg. Just because technology is more modern doesn't make it any sort of better in every single field. Like cars, for example. Many people like to think that some cars of the 50s and 60s are actually far more robust in terms and longevity of the cars than cars are now. Some people still got cars from the 50s, 60s, 70s. Buying from, if you're British, if you bought cars from British Leyland, they would have run out. They would have probably broken down about 30 years ago. But we'll gloss over that. But hey, so yeah, look into it, please, D.Marble. You're not looking into what he said enough. You're taking what he said literally, and you need to stop doing that because this is where many problems come from. Right.
Beyond that, I'll ask them if they believe that we went to the moon. So their answer
Yes.
is yes. Then I'll ask them, well, we only see that one side of the moon, right? Yeah. Okay.
So he showed a picture there. Yeah, that's different. You know, slam your head up against a bulb, you start to see different things. I don't really have a thing for this because I'm not a thing, but there's a lot more to do. And maybe it's the camera. The camera is designed to lower sort of the glare from things, if you know what I mean. That's one of my explanations for that, is that the camera is designed for taking as little light as possible. And remember, there's still shadows and things, because still would cast shadows even if it's as bright as you think it is there.
Moon, right? Yeah. No, kind of. I mean, you kind of have to agree with that because according to the heliocentric model, we only see that one side of the moon because of tidal locking. Tidal locking is why they tell us we only see that one side of the moon. So, okay, we went.
I like the fact you did quotation marks there with your hands, like. So basically, you've been given an explanation. You're told why, which is backed up by maths, physics, science, whatever, and yet you just choose to dismiss it because it goes against your bias. Now, forgetting this, right? It's obvious that when you look at the moon, that it's a sphere, right? Plain and simple. Even you would probably admit that, okay? So, are you going to tell me why, in your flat Earth model, you flat Earth enthusiasts, why we only see one side of the moon on the flat Earth then? Flat Earth model. Are you going to explain that? Most likely not.
To the moon, so we have the capability to do so in their mind. Okay, we also only see that one side of the moon. I'll point.
So let me address this again about the technology bit. Basics like computer chips is that the lunar lander and most stuff then, they were like it was a giant calculator. It didn't have very much in the way of modern computer chips. You know, it was just hard. You know, they say that it was a calculator, number crunched. That's how it did its trajectories and all this kind of thing. And let's put it this way. So what it is that a lot of the computer chips are far more delicate. So if they went through the Van Allen belts, modern computer chips would probably fry. And they didn't back then. And the thing is, we've learned what we needed to do from the moon. We've been there 9 times. So, that's my kind of thing on that.
That one out, and we'll clear that up. And then the next thing is, well, why do you think we don't have a camera? A camera pointing back at the Earth showing us a 24-hour live feed?
Good grief. Even this, still waiting for NASA to zoom in on the Earth and show us buildings and cars upside down. What the fuck do you mean? That is the most ridiculous question I've ever heard them say. Even if it's the most stupidest question I've even seen written down. This thing, right? Still waiting for NASA to zoom in on the Earth and show us buildings, cars upside down. Well, let's put it this way: even if they did, you'd claim it's fake. Okay? And what are you talking about? Still NASA zooming in? What? Like the thousands of satellite photos that exist, or the thousands of photographs taken from the copula inside the ISS from the astronauts? What about those? That's zoomed in, and you can see the buildings and the cities and all this kind of thing. I don't understand what you're expecting here. This will not change your mind. So why ask for it?
Of the Earth spinning. Don't you think that would be something that people would like to see? I mean, if we're able to do things like have satellites and be able to remotely control them.
And yes, we have a satellite at this present moment. We have a satellite. There's the Discover satellite, the Himawari satellite, which if you go onto their Twitter account, they have over like 80,000 pictures of the Earth taken every 10 minutes. Right? And apparently, like I says, there was if I remember rightly, there was a channel on Sky that I think it's back in the 90s that did have a live 24-hour feed of the Earth rotating from a satellite. But the only trouble is, watching the Earth rotate is quite boring. Because it only rotates. You might say, like, every flat earther does this. They say that, oh, it spins 1,000 miles an hour, we should fly off. Well, if you look at this perspective, right, the Earth, yes, it goes 1,000 miles an hour. But watching it rotate from outside, because of its scale, okay, the Earth only rotates 1 degree, like, every 4 minutes. So in 4 minutes, it's only rotated 1 degree. That's not much. So that's why those channels didn't think that long, because it's not exactly the amazing extravaganza you think it's going to be. So on the moon, it's just going to be boring. It's not as spectacular a scene as you think. And just to answer that question again, I'll go back to it again. And this is my favourite kind of saying. Well, even if they did, alright? Even if they did put a live 24-hour feed of the Earth on there, you'd think it's CGI, blue screen, fucking, blah, blah, blah. So, again, why ask for something that it's not even going to basically convince you? What's the fucking point?
From millions of miles away is what we're told, and we're able to beam signals back over these vast distances. Wouldn't you like to think that it will be easy to get a 24-hour live feed of the Earth spinning, the globe Earth spinning from the moon, because we only see that one side? Let's stick a camera to that one side that we see and point it back at the Earth. My question is, why don't we have a 24-hour live feed of the moon?
Because we don't need one. It's not necessary. They won't learn anything from it. I mean, and like I said before, it's all to do with it's all to do with the fact that the Earth spins 1 degree in 4 minutes. That's not much. And then you've also got the moving of the moon. Yes, that could make things a little bit more interesting, perhaps. But then you're not going to see it rotate an odd way. You can see it rotate weirdly because of directions and all this kind of stuff. But you're not going to learn anything from it. And then again, is it going to convince you? Fuck no.
Now, another question I'd like to ask heliocentric enthusiasts, people who believe in the heliocentric model.
Stop saying that.
Another leading question will be, well, okay, so you believe that the Earth is spinning, yes? Yes. Okay, so you believe that the Earth is spinning, then you believe the other movements through space. All right, so the Earth is supposedly spinning at around 1,035 miles per hour near the equator. Also, another movement is the Earth orbiting around the Sun, because the Sun's gravitational pull is keeping the Earth in its orbit. So the Earth is orbiting around the Sun around 67,000 miles per hour. Okay. Also, while the Sun has the Earth orbiting around it, the Sun's also moving through the whole solar system, somewhere around 450,000 miles an hour, is what we're told. Another movement is that the whole Milky Way galaxy is also moving through space, somewhere around 515,000 miles per hour. So we have all these motions, all this movement between the Earth, between the Sun, between the galaxy, between the solar system. So my question to them would be, how is it that all this movement is taking place out in space? How do we see the same stars every night? How does we see the same constellations night after night? We've seen the same stars in the sky for thousands of years throughout recorded history. If all these supposed movements are taking place out there in space, why do we not have a different night sky every night?
Right, that lasted a bit long there. Okay, So, but it's all about scale. Again, people have measured this. And let's put it this way, the stars have not been the same for thousands of years. This is it, the Polaris has moved, stars have moved, people have measured this. Like Edmund Halley compared star charts from a Greek astronomer from 2,000 years prior, right? And Edmund Halley noticed that stars had moved. Some stars have. Constellations have changed somewhat. Not a lot, but they have changed. And we do see different stars at night, but it depends on the seasons. So if we're on one side of the sun, we see one set of stars. If we're on the other side, we see another one. And if you bring up, I'm just going to say this now before he brings up the why do we feel like we're not moving, let's put it this way. Or we should be hurtling off. Let's put it this way. When you're driving in a car, or let's put this a plane, right? The plane is travelling about 500 miles an hour. Okay? Do you feel like you're moving? I want you to fall asleep and wake up. Now, you don't feel like you're moving, do you? You're travelling 500 miles an hour. Drop a feather or anything. Drop an item just on the floor in the plane. It drops straight to the floor, doesn't it? It doesn't fucking hurtle to the back. We're in that bubble. We're in the bubble of the plane. Same with Earth. We're in the gravitational field. We're in the bubble that is Earth. So we're not going to feel anything. The only time you'd ever feel anything if we accelerate and decelerate. Again, it's the same old thing when you were a kid. You open down the window, you stick your head out of a moving car doing about 70 or 80, your fucking head nearly comes off, or your fucking mouth nearly rips open, all that kind of thing. Stick your head back in and close the window, nothing, no feeling of motion at all. It's little simple concepts like this you need to understand.
It doesn't make sense. We should have a different sky every night if all those movements are taking place.
Which they are, but you're ignoring the scales. Measurements have been done. Remember, speed of light, as fast as it is. So basically, a light year, basically it'll take light travelling at, I can't remember what the speed of light is now, 3,500 kilometers a second. I could be wrong. I probably am very wrong on that. It's just off the top of my head here. So basically, even travelling at ridiculous speeds, it still takes light a year to travel that far. And most of those suns and stars are that far away. Get my point here? So, in the grand scheme of things, we're not really moving that far. Right? Let me give you an analogy here, and also on the spin of the Earth, right, and all this kind of thing. It's the concept of big versus small, right? Take a small wheel and spin it, let's say, at a couple of hundred repetitions a minute. A very small wheel, I'm talking about tiny, let's say about the size of a bottle top. Now that thing would appear to spin extremely quickly. However, put that RPM onto something, let's say, what size here? Let's say a tractor wheel. It appears to be spinning far slowly because of its size. The wider the object is, the further out, the slower the speed appears. If you get what I mean here. So they are technically moving at the same speed. Basically, the only way you'd get it to look the same if you increase the RPM of the big wheel. So, if you move the big wheel, at the same speed the small one's going, the big wheel looks like it's spinning smaller. So it's all about scale. Again, it's the whole concept the flat earthers seem like to ignore or look over. Sorry, that went off a bit there, didn't it?
Wouldn't you think so?
Well, just study astronomy and you'd know.
My questions. Back to you, Mike.
All right, so thanks, D.Marble. Definitely appreciate your questions. Hopefully, we can get some globe believers down in the comment section to help answer.
Can flat earthers stop saying globe believers? The globe model and the heliocentric model is based on 2,000 years plus of research and development and observations.
Some of these questions because they don't make sense. I mean, just using common sense, what D.Marble said about seeing the same stars in the night sky, or about the camera being on the moon. I mean, that's common sense. I mean, we have the technology and the satellites up in space and all the resources.
And planes, drones, towers, antennas, and parabolic reflectors. Parabolic reflectors? Oh, you need to look that up. Yeah, but satellite phones do exist. Now, people always say, flat earthers like to say, well, your mobile phone doesn't need a satellite. Yeah, but your mobile phone is not a satellite phone. They're two different things. Now, some people use satellite phones in the North Pole. And in the North Pole, hell, even in the South Pole, there are no antennas for miles. And I mean hundreds of miles. Even more, thousands of miles even. Well, I shouldn't say thousands of miles. Let's say just, for hundreds and hundreds of miles, there are no antennas, no cables to connect anything to, nothing. So they have to use satellites. Hence, satellite phone.
And NASA's big $52 million a day budget, why don't we have a camera pointed back at the Earth to get a 24-hour feed, since, the sun, we only see the one side of the moon, sorry, not the sun, of the moon at all times? Great question. I mean, I want to see what these globe believers down in the comments have to say about that. But getting on to my question.
Like I said again, it's not necessary. And the Earth spins very slowly.
My question is going to be, first of all, clouds. Now, if you believe in gravity and you believe in the current science and what they say about gravity, that it pulls everything to the center of the mass, that's why water sticks to the Earth. That's why water doesn't go flying off, because the Earth's spinning 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. Why is it that clouds, which it says, according to scientists, the weight of an average cumulus cloud is 1.1 million pounds. So, why do clouds float? Why do clouds float? Why doesn't gravity pull clouds, which is made up of water and air and water crystals and stuff like that? Why doesn't it pull it down to Earth, to the center of the mass? I even asked the question. I mean, you can Google it yourself. It says, so why do clouds float? It says, so even though typical clouds...
Well, let me answer that. It's all to do... Most clouds, yes, they do that, but it's a mist. Very, very tiny particles that don't weigh anything. That don't have any sort of, mass. Don't have any mass, each particle. So those particles are not going to be affected. Think about how rain works. And then again, this goes against what bloody most flat earthers like to talk about, right? What did he say? Where was the weight? Weigh between 1.1 million pounds. Right. The average cumulus cloud. So, against your buoyancy and density and weight and everything, things should just fall if they're heavy. How are they not falling if the Earth is flat and you don't believe in gravity? Yeah, see, you haven't really thought that through either. Think about how it rains. How do you think it rains? What it is, all those crystal particles and water particles that start off tiny, start being far more active, they collide with one another, making the particles slowly and surely much heavier, right, until it forms a raindrop, then it rains. What, do you think a rain cloud essentially is just full of water like a sponge, and it just rains in its own free will?
Cloud is 1.1 million. A lot of water.
Let's keep on going here.
Is what I'm getting out of this, right? Clouds defy gravity. So that's my question of globe believers. From a science standpoint,
they don't defy gravity if you just look shit up. Read. Do a bit of science.
How does clouds defy gravity?
Yeah, but you haven't explained why they float at all if they weigh that much. In Flat Earther's lovely buoyancy and density argument. If they weigh 1.1 million pounds, by most flat earther logic, they should hit the floor anyway.
If I threw tiny water droplets in the air right now, if I just took a little handful of water, threw them up in the air right now, they would fall, right?
Yes. That's a water droplet, not tiny water particles. I'm talking about basically the clouds are made up out of water. It's like steam. Steam is made out of water particles, but it takes quite a bit of steam to condense to make even a small drop of water. So basically steam rises, condenses, becomes denser, becomes heavier, then falls as rain. Your handful of water concept is bloody stupid.
Am I right or am I wrong? I think I'm right. So if that's the case, then why does the water in the sky that form the clouds, which weigh 1.1 million pounds, why is it that they don't fall? They don't come to the center of the mass of the earth.
Yeah, but remember, like I said, a cloud is not a sponge full of water. They don't work like that. You can fly through a cloud.
I mean, that's one of the things that me and my boy were discussing the other day. He goes, well, why doesn't gravity have an effect on clouds? And that's a really good question.
They do affect the clouds. Gravity does affect clouds. It's called rain.
That's just, again, another common sense question that I thought I'd ask you globe believers out there to see.
Or just pick up a science book. Oh no, I'm sorry, because that's part of the problem, isn't it? Well, ironically, it is part of the problem, which is probably why flat earthers exist in the first place.
What your answer is going to be. So, all you guys who believe in this thing right here, put comments down below. Let's help me and D.Marble answer some of these questions, because frankly, a lot of this stuff.
You are not interested in the answers, because your mind, as well as D.Marble's, is already made up. Like the countless of times people have proven D.Marble wrong and pointed out his bullshit and proven that he's basically done major mistakes and that his ideas are quite idiotic at best, and yet he just ignores them like you know, the clouds outside. You know, the answers don't matter to you people. The answers really don't matter.
With the heliocentric model doesn't make sense. If you believe in the heliocentric model, you believe in too much contradictory things. You believe in that we can't feel spin, but...
What do you mean No, they don't. There is no contradictory things. Just do the math, do the physics, read a book, please.
Because pendulum can feel spin, that's why it moves. You believe in gravity, but things float in water all the time. So why is that not pulling down to the center of the mass?
Well, that's buoyancy. Remember, buoyancy can't exist without gravity.
You believe in so much contradictory facts to
No, it's that you don't understand those facts.
make up your globe model that, to me, it doesn't make sense from a common sense standpoint. So again,
That's not called common sense. It's the fact that you haven't looked this up. You haven't done any reading into this other than watching flat earther videos, which is where my major anger point comes from this. Is that most people, basically, like when Jeranism and so many other flat earthers basically tell you to do research, what they're really telling you is to watch their videos. That's it.
just wanted to put this quick video out there. Definitely appreciate the help from my man D.Marble. Definitely appreciate him coming on and helping me out on this one. Just trying to ask some common sense questions to try and get some common sense answers from these globe believers. Things that just don't make sense.
But you're not going to listen to these answers.
So, stay tuned for the next video.
And whatever. Yeah, but that's my thoughts on that. Again, these questions were completely idiotic and something that he could literally find out himself. Quite easily, but I'm sick of doing this. Just look at how rain clouds work. Look up satellites, look up speed and motion, the laws of motion, the laws of physics. Do a little bit of reading. It would be good. But, you know, there we are. That's Angry Welshman done for today. Hope everybody's having a lovely Christmas. And I'll see you again.